you wanna go. Makes you wanna go. Na 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 na.
Hey, Mickey G, how are you today, girl?
Hey, Golden Bronze, I'm doing excellent. How are you today?
I am good. I am good. I am good. Thank you for asking.
You're
I
welcome.
think we are going to have a fun show today, another fun show today.
Yeah.
The little birdie told me that we're going to talk about divorce in the black. But before we do, I just want to say one thing. Gab Golden Bronze is the sponsor of Golden Swan Cadre. Golden Swan Cadre is a 501c3 nonprofit domestic organization that advocates against domestic violence towards women, and we advocate for women's health issues, including maternity health, mental health, self-care, and mindfulness. And we would love if you would go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our webpage at www.goldenswancadre.com and learn all about Golden Swan Cadre. Our purpose is to help women that are in domestic abuse situations become survivors and thrivers. And we do a lot of great things for them that time will not permit me to say on this opening statement, but we would love to have your contributions, your sponsorships, your donations, $1 and up, because every dollar adds up. So we're not going to be picky. We just need to get your help so we can continue to help all these ladies. You would be surprised how many women are in this situation that need our help. So I solicit you for your donations. And before we get started, Mickey G has something to say, and then we'll get started. So
All
thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Well, you can hear our show on Village Global Network on Mondays every other week at 10 a.m., powered by Zeno FM, with additional monitoring through online radio box on the following stations. Culture Shock Radio is in Canada, Radio Persio, Mexico, Rockbox FM, USA, and Wapter Music, Guadalupe. You can also view our shows on YouTube on Saturdays. We do have exciting news. We have an announcement. We will soon appear on VGN TV. The stations are Woman to Woman Network.
Yay!
I know, right? Network, Women to Women Network, Louis Wood, Roku TV, Fire TV, Comcast TV, DuPont Network, Xfinity. I'm getting so geeked out. LG Smart TV,
Yay!
Samsung Smart TV, and Spectrum. Can you believe it? So we're looking forward to seeing you there. We'll keep you updated as to when that's going to happen, but we are so excited about this opportunity to reach the masses.
That is so exciting. I'm telling you, I am just flabbergasted, excited. But you guys, we're going to do a review. We're going to do some different stuff. We're not just always going to talk about the bad stuff, but this movie that we're going to review is a Tyler Perry movie. It is called Divorce in the Black. And let me tell you, I decided to pick this movie because it's about domestic violence, right? So not only that, it is entertaining, it is thrilling, it is funny in some instances, and it is very traumatic at the ending. But we're going to pick it apart. This is our own personal opinion and critique, and it's just what we think. This is my disclaimer of that movie. And I'm going to start it off with the beginning. The beginning reels you in. That funeral, honey. I'm telling you, that lady had to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Honey, if she didn't look like Monique, well, let me just say, she looked a little bit like she might be related to Monique. I was about to say, honey, I'll be cutting this real short. But I'm telling you, she played that role. Do you hear me?
Right.
What do you think about the beginning?
Oh my God. Okay, so Can I do? I need to do a disclaimer. Spoiler alert. We're going to
Like I
talk
did.
about what we saw in the movie. So you need to go see the movie, but we're going to spoil it because we're going to talk about what happened in the movie. Okay. So
Right.
about the woman reminding you of Monique, it reminded me of Monique in that movie Precious. This woman
Yeah.
at the beginning of the movie, oh my God, I was not ready. So I came up with a few words that just punched out at me. Shocking, jarring,
Mm-hmm.
unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
yet predictable as
Mm-hmm.
far as how the characters responded to
Mm-hmm.
each other. But I wasn't ready.
Dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional,
Did you hear what I said?
crazy,
Mhm.
uh,
Great.
no boundaries,
I was like,
no
right there, that reels you in. You're like, oh
right.
my God. You know, and I was watching it like, I can't believe it. And then on the other hand, I was like laughing because, like, surely nobody would ever do that in real life. But when she
No.
told her boys to take him out, I thought she meant casket and all. They thought that too, didn't they?
So should we set up what that was about? Just a little bit.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
so there
trying to
was
lead into it. Yeah.
so there's a funeral scene at the beginning, and the pastor is preaching. He's talking about people going to heaven, etc. The decedent's mother and brothers are sitting on the front row along with the preacher's daughter, who's married to one of the decedent's brothers. And so he got to talking about
Mhm.
people going to hell because they lived by the sword, they died by the sword. The guy who was in the casket had robbed one of the elderly church members. She shot him to death, and he got what was coming to him. But the mother didn't quite like that. She didn't quite like that. You want to share more about that part?
Yes, like he actually was talking about the family being a
Right.
bad family and that all the bad that they had done to other people, and that he basically died from the same thing that he inflicted on other people. And
Mm.
that's what set the mom off. She was like, how dare you sit here and talk about my boys like this? And that just like it was the trigger. And I will tell you what, we will dive more into this in just a minute. Okay. Thank you for joining us back. And as I was saying, he was preaching against her boys and her
Right.
family, and that set her off. But I was not expecting what she did. Like when she told them to, take the boy out of there. And then when the sons thought just like everybody else, oh, just take the casket. No, 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 take him out the casket. And then when she started undressing, I was like, what is really going on here? And I thought she was undressing so she could fight, but apparently she was undressing because they bought her the clothes to wear
Right.
to the funeral, and she wanted them to know she didn't need anything from them. And I'm like, boy, if this ain't some backwoods, hillbilly, ghetto, Georgian stuff that we don't know about.
Oh my God. When they took their body out, I was done. They carried him down, and people were just, I mean, wouldn't you be freaked out if you were at a funeral and someone took the body out and walked out the door and buried him in their front yard? Really?
Yep. And she said along with the other family members. So apparently that yard is a graveyard because she said something about she buried him there with the rest of the family, right?
Yeah,
So what do you think
right.
about
Whew.
Megan's husband? He was like, wasn't he so abusive to her verbally?
Oh
And
my
she was
God.
that kind of wife that I think I could relate to, because
Right.
I used to walk on eggshells like that too, just to
Mhm.
keep
Right.
from setting off somebody
Right.
else. I tolerated things just to keep from having arguments, and
Right.
it just kind of brought me back to that situation where there's so many women have to lose themselves, they have to morph into what this man expects for them to be, even though he's like the worst person in the world. You know, she changed who she was to try to please him, and it just never was enough. It didn't please him.
Right. Right. Well, she treated him like he was normal. He wasn't normal. But there's a revelation
Because she was,
early. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was like, she was afraid to upset him. Basically, she wanted to
Right.
make him so happy that
Right.
she treated him like like he wanted to be treated, but not like he deserved to be treated.
Right.
You know?
Right. And there was a revelation early on about when he was drunk. Remember, he was drunk and she was holding her husband. He was crying. He said, "She made me do it." You remember that part? He was talking about
Right.
something his mother
Yes,
made
yes,
him do, which was kill
yes.
his father. And I
Father,
said, that's
yes. And that
right,
messed him up right there.
that right there. And he's probably amongst the graveyard
Mhm.
in the front yard too. So, yeah,
Right. But
yeah,
Mickey, the sad part about that, when I heard that,
yeah.
and I won't call any names, but I dated someone who told me that their sister made her son kill her husband for life
Mm,
insurance money that she
mm.
eventually didn't even get. She eventually didn't get it for whatever reason. And that's just how God works, right? Because if she made her son kill her husband for some life insurance money and didn't get it, that was God making sure that didn't happen. But people do stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this guy, that's frightening to think someone decides they're going to take your life and you don't know. That's a whole other can of worms. But for this guy in the
Mhm.
movie, what's his name? Dallas in the movie. That was, I think, his turning
Mhm.
point in his
Dallas.
life where he killed his father. He was never the same again. And his mother was, she was clearly broken. She was hateful. She had no
Mhm.
boundaries. She didn't care. You know, even in the
Evil.
church, right? Evil. Okay, I was being kind. Yeah, she's evil. But even in
Mhm.
the church, taking her
Yeah.
clothes off in the
Mhm.
church and cursing in the church. She had no respect for the house of God, for people, for men, women, children, whoever was there. She had no respect for anyone. And it was clear she embedded those values or lack of same in her sons. It's bad.
Right. And we have to realize that the people that we encounter every day in life, this is real life. They actually experience stuff like this. And we
Right.
end up sometimes marrying broken people, just like
Right.
this. And in we are then, susceptible to that same evilness and trauma
Right.
because of what the husband's childhood was like that resonates in society today.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
And
I mean, that was terrible. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just saying it
Go
behooves
ahead,
us
Mickey.
to check backgrounds or to check their family. Where did you come from, and who are
Yes.
your people, and how do they act? That was one
Hmm.
thing. Another thing was in front of the character Ava, Megan Good's character, her parents showed
Right.
her a loving relationship. Her father showed her how a woman's supposed to be
Hmm.
treated by him doing that with her mother in front of her. So he said, "We taught you better. You know, this is how a man's supposed to love a woman. What happened to you?" And the mother said, "What did I do wrong?" You know,
Well,
so
let's talk about that.
yeah.
I was raised in the same kind of family Ava was, and so were
Mm-hmm.
you. And what
Mm-hmm.
happened to us? We ended up in the same situation like Ava, except maybe not that extreme, but
Yeah.
as far as domestic violence. So you can't blame that on your mother or your father or even yourself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Even I said I ended up with the opposite of what I was accustomed to, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and so many of us do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
true.
yeah, I can relate to that too.
I felt so bad
Yeah.
for her because he tormented her. He had no respect for her workplace. He came on her job, yelling and cursing and embarrassing her, and she would not do a protective order
Mhm.
in the beginning. Her friend kept saying, "Get a protective order. He is unhinged. You need to protect yourself." And she was hesitant. She said, "Oh, I'll be all right. I'll be all right." But she wasn't all right. Not not being his wife, because he was much like his mother.
I
No
think she
boundaries
was
in
in
care.
denial, a lot of denial, right? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
she knew him from school, so she kind of
yeah.
knew what kind of family he came from, and maybe she did think that she could change him. You know, he
Mhm.
said that too, but you know what? We will dive into that in just a few minutes. All right, we are back. Thank you for rejoining us. So I think again, as I was saying, I think Megan is. Some of us don't know the backstory to our husbands or partners or boyfriends or whatever, and we get caught up in situations that we're not privy to the backstory. But I think she did know because they grew up in the same little country town in Georgia what kind of person he was. I do think he was right when he said, "You're trying to make me who you want me to be." They were
Yeah,
unevenly yoked, and I think she was in denial about that. I think her father tried to tell her from the get go, from the wedding, when he showed her the video
right,
of how the mother disrespected her at her own wedding, and
right.
she continued to go forward with it.
Mhm.
So sometimes we need to heed what our parents say. You know, they can see things, not just parents. Sometimes, you know, any family member might know something or see something that we're blinded to at that particular moment.
Right, right. And
Love is blind.
unfortunately, in her case, but I remember the father saying that
Mhm.
ever since he showed her video of how she used to be, and then he showed a video of her wedding and other subsequent videos, he said, "You never smiled ever since you married him.
Right.
You have not smiled." So they had to show
Right.
her in front of her face something that was undeniable, her own
Right.
video of when she changed. And I don't know how in the world they ended up together. I can't even imagine.
I just think through school, Mickey, yeah, that's what it sounded like. They were classmates and stuff. They grew up in the
Yeah.
same little town, you
But
know?
if she knew that family and they had a reputation, how did this good girl end up with this and I don't know if he had killed his father at that point or not. Maybe that was later on in life. He killed his father, but how does she get there? You know, that's what I kind of
I
wonder.
don't know. I think when we're in love, we're oblivious to all that kind of stuff. Do you ever sit and I ask myself the same question?
Yeah.
You know, I
How
think
did we
when
get there?
we are leading with our hearts, how did we not see certain things and not know? And that's why I said love is blind,
Yeah.
because, you know, I was watching that movie thinking the same thing. There were
Mhm.
things that it could work two ways. Either you can see it and deny it, which I think was in her case, or you
Mhm.
cannot know. You know, like
Right.
if you didn't grow up near somebody or know their family, then you don't know until you know, you know.
Right.
But in
Right.
her case, I think you're right. She was just ignored it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also
Yeah,
think what you just said is true, that she didn't know. She had not seen it. And so she had this boyfriend who
right,
had bad moods. So maybe she figured, well, he's in a bad mood. He's in a bad mood. He's having a bad day, whatever. But she didn't think about it as domestic violence, what he was doing that would require intervention and a protective order,
right.
etc. So she didn't get it. But after a while, ding, ding, ding,
And
you know,
it changed her because she ended up planning to take him out and did. And we're going to fast forward to the end of that story because
yeah,
she was just fed up
yeah,
so much to the point where she didn't care. She just signed the divorce papers without haggling with him. He wanted the haggle. He was upset that she freely divorced him, but she was
Yeah.
just fed up. You get fed up, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
then ended up having to take him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to
And
talk about the end?
yes, there's two things. One, when he asked her for the divorce, he said, I want a divorce. You get to that attorney's office, sign those papers in front of everyone at her job. So, okay. She said, all right, you did
Trying to
that.
embarrass her.
Right. Trying to embarrass her. So I'm just going to come and sign the doggone papers. Where do I sign? Where do I sign? What do I sign?
Mhm.
Now you got your divorce. He thought she was going to beg him or whatever. And it was so easy. So he figured, oh, it must be some other man. And that's how they get twisted up. It's never them, it's the other man.
Yeah.
At the end, baby, listen. At the end, uh, she had filed a protective order, and sometime earlier, and then she had in the meantime got involved with this guy, this guy she knew from high school, the good guy. And then she called her ex-husband and taunted him with how she enjoys this new guy. You'll never measure up to him, et cetera, et cetera. And when he, she's egging him on to come over to where she is. And so he did come over. And she sit there drinking a glass of wine, just waiting. And then he came in, he laid his gun on the table, he started talking noise and threatening her. And so she just kept saying what she was saying. So he hit her a few times. And so I think she pulled a shotgun. He said, this is what we're doing now. And so during that time, she called the police and said, listen, my ex-husband's in here. He's threatening me. He's beating me, etc. I need you to send help. And so she hung up. She said, now you've given me just the bruises I need to prove my case. So he decided, she was like, yeah, slap me around so I can show it. So he challenged her, and she blew him across the room.
Blew him away, honey. Yes.
Away. She told him, he said something about, you've changed. She said, you don't know this one. The 17-year-old me, me in the 20s, but me in the 30s have changed, and I've been unleashed. So he had his comeuppance. He asked for every bit of it.
And that old saying, hell hath no fury like a woman who's been scorned, right? He scorned her so much till she did not mind just putting a final end to it all. I tell you, Tyler Perry's mind sometimes, I wish I could get inside of his head, because he comes up with some of the most amazing things.
Yeah, and he writes all of this stuff. So I watch a lot of his things, his shows, his movies. One thing I was going to say about these people, what set her off was he attacked her mother, which upset her father. So he went after him, and then he beat her father up.
Yes.
Almost to the point of killing him.
Yes.
And that was her turning point. No, you can do stuff to me, but to my parents, oh, no. You're going to have to pay for that one. So I just thought it was a magnificent film. I've watched it more than once. Yeah. I encourage people to watch
everybody,
it.
if you haven't seen, yes, I was about to say, if you have not seen it, I encourage you to watch Divorce in the Black. I think I'll tag Tyler Perry and Richard Lawson, who I follow on Instagram. So everyone, thank you for tuning back in with us. We enjoyed that movie, Divorce in the Black. And again, we encourage you to watch it if you haven't seen it. And we just wanted to review it because it was about domestic violence. But now we have something different that we are going to do. And I am going to let my co-host lead with this one. We're going to show up some objects, and she'll explain to you because it was her idea on what we're going to do. So you have the floor, Mickey, go.
Okay. So it's kind of like the ink blot test. You know how a psychiatrist or psychologist will show you a picture of an ink blot, and you tell them what's the first thing that comes to your mind and why did that come to your mind. So I'm going to start with my first object. Now these would be just random objects. Okay. And let's see, I'm going to start with this one. So gold and bronze, Can you see that?
It's a book with a school bus and some Black students. So the first thing that comes to my mind, if I got that correctly, reminds me of back in the day when we were bused during segregation or integration, when they, from segregation to integration, how all the little kids had to catch school buses and go to schools that may have been miles and miles away from home, even though they had a school right there in their neighborhood. That's what that reminded me
Right.
of.
Right. Okay. That's what it was, a school bus with children getting on it. Okay, very insightful.
Okay,
What do you have
so
for me?
let's see. So here I have this called Curtis Cooks with Heart and Soul. Oops, there we go.
Mm.
Oops, there we go. What
Okay.
comes to mind when you see that?
I like food. I like food. I like good cuisine. That's one reason I go on cruises, because they'll cook for me like I like it. So I love different cuisines.
Yeah.
And when you showed me that cookbook, I'm sure there's a treasure of recipes in there that are mouth watering that I can get into. So, I like good food.
Mhm.
So not just meat and potatoes. I like swirls and dots and schmears things on my food. So yeah, that's what I
Right.
thought. Yeah, yeah. That's
And
what I thought.
and I love to cook, everyone. So I have an assortment of cookbooks. And if you want some neat recipes, go to Diva's Cooking, Travel, and Fun here on YouTube. And I have a cooking channel that you could subscribe, like, and share and get some nifty, quick, healthy recipes from. Okay.
Good plug. Good plug on that one. Well, this is kind of the antithesis of what you showed me. You were talking about healthy foods and showed me the cookbook. What does this remind you of?
What is it? Oh, is that Vienna sausages? Okay.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a stomach ache. That reminds me of that's what's going to happen if I eat it. I don't like them.
I know we're
I
good from
don't
the
like
cookbook.
sausage. I don't like hot dogs. Okay.
Oh boy, that was good.
So here's mine. What does this remind you of? What do you think of when you see my Canon camera?
Photo shoots. It reminds.
Yeah.
Pose. It reminds me of photo shoots. And I've
Yeah.
done several, and so it also makes me think of memories that you create by film, pictures
Mhm.
that of loved ones that are gone that you'll never get again. You make memories through pictures, and so the camera's a valuable tool
Right.
in that way. So yeah, that's what it makes me think of.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
Okay.
let's see. It's a lantern.
Is it okay? That makes me think of hurricanes and tornadoes and the need for them when your electricity goes out.
I wasn't thinking that, but yeah, I get that. I get that.
That's what came to
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
when you've encountered things like that, yeah. Crazy weather.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
What does that make you think of?
Makes me think of getting my body stronger,
Right.
being in the
Getting
gym and having
those
a curl.
biceps
Yeah,
together.
get those biceps. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
show you mine, but yeah, that's what it reminds me of. The days that I craved being at the gym. I don't have that craving now, but I want to get it
Yeah.
back. But it reminds me of the days that I
Oh, I
craved being in
do.
the
I
gym.
go.
And I was in my best body for a while. But yeah, that's what it reminds me
Yeah.
of. Those good old days when I was in there working at the gym.
Yeah. Get them back,
Okay.
girl. I go 3 times a week.
Yeah. Well, I started with something today, but I'll talk to you about that off camera. So
Okay.
I have this little thing, and I did not know this was here. I did not see it. until yesterday. And it's a figurine. And I'm going to tell you what it says on it. Okay. It says,
Okay.
faith is not knowing God can, but it is knowing he will. So what does this
I know
figurine and
that's
this
right.
thing mean to you?
It means, especially with the inscription, that lean not to your own understanding, trust in God always. Yes.
That's right.
Have that
That's right.
faith.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
That's what
That's
it
right.
means. It's beautiful, by the way. That figurine
Yeah.
is very pretty.
Thank you. And I thought it must be
Okay.
meant for this segment because I just found it yesterday. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah. This smells so good. It's a candle,
What's a candle?
unused,
Oh,
brand new. What
yeah.
does that make you think of?
It reminds me of a particular store I go in to buy candles. It starts with Bath. And I love the candles. I love aromatherapy, good scents. It's relaxation, dim light, all that relaxation of the senses. So, yeah, I love a good candle. So, yeah, that's what it reminds me of. What's the fragrance on that?
And it reminds me of this. It's grape.
Ooh.
Grape. Smells like grapes. Yeah.
Yeah, that takes me
And I
back to the
like the
cookbook.
fruity candles. I like the apple, cinnamon, and the strawberry and cherry
Mm,
flavors. I also like lavender and chamomile. Those are some
yeah,
of my favorite. Vanilla,
yeah.
those are some of my
Oh,
favorite.
yeah.
But what that candle and all the candles remind me of is one of our initiatives, self-care. I think
Yes,
when you said relaxation,
yes.
lighting candles, and we'll get right back into that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, as I was saying, um, one of our initiatives is self-care and mindfulness. And when you light your candles, dim the lights, fill your tub up with hot bubble bath and a glass of wine, and that is to me one of the neatest forms of self-care at home that you could do. And play maybe some
Yeah, yeah,
jazz or light music or
yeah,
whatever. Ah,
yeah. Wow. I agree with you on that one. And I know we're near the end of our segment. Do I have time to show you one last thing? Okay. I'm just gonna show you this because golden bronze is frozen. Oh, she's back. Okay. Do I have time to show you one more picture? Or do we need to run?
yeah.
Okay. So this is the last thing. Wait a minute. It's a book.
Called Catch Me If You Can. Okay, I think that I
Yeah.
know that book. Catch Me If
Yes.
You Can. Who's the author
Yeah.
of that book? I know that title.
Jessica Nabongo. Oh, let's
I
see.
saw that advertised on social media the other day.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
what does it remind me of? So,
Mhm.
well, maybe she travels and she goes all over the world, and she's basically just telling her stories of all the neat, exotic places that she's been. And if you want
Right,
to, you can catch her in any of those places if you can.
right, right. Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So we went through that pretty quickly. We could have done a few more, except I don't have any more objects to
Oh,
show up. Do you have any more?
no, I can always grab one. I have a highlighter. How about that one?
Okay, that reminds me of work and reading. And let's just say reading, because I like to read. And oftentimes I'll have a highlighter at hand and will
Mhm.
highlight stuff, especially in my Bible. When I want to go back and reference it, I'll use a highlighter to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to answer it too. It reminds me of being enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
It's also one of my favorite colors. You know, you have the pink and the orange and the sunset color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you want to remember a point. So that's what it makes me think of.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's all the things I have. I can walk around this room and get all kinds of things, but I think we can leave it.
Yeah, that was
Unless
really fun.
that was
Uh,
fun.
we'll have to think of some more things to do like this online. I
Yeah.
wanted to just add real quickly, though, that I didn't get to tell people that if you live in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Golden Swan Cadre is having a fundraiser, and it's called Gathering for Greatness. It's only $20, and you will get lunch if you come, and it's a simulation of what women actually go through when they are victims of domestic violence. So you won't be bored with just someone standing there talking to you for 2 hours. We have partnered with one of the local Dallas Fort Worth domestic violence centers, and they're actually doing the presentation. We're just hosting it. So we encourage you to go on to Chime or PayPal. It's a donation, really. We're asking for a minimum of $20 per seat to attend that event. I think you'll be highly enlightened and greatly satisfied by attending, because you'll actually learn what we women and men, we do acknowledge men go through it too, but they experience it as well. But our nonprofit actually advocates in the best interest of the woman, for the women. But you will leave there knowing and be more empathetic and sympathetic to a victim of domestic abuse. Not only that, you'll actually know how to recognize some of those red flags that we talked about earlier that people tend to ignore or simply don't know anything about, and be able to offer somebody that you might think that is a victim some assistance, some guidance, some resources, a lending ear, and help. So I encourage you to check out Gathering for Greatness, and you can get that information off of our Facebook page, Golden Swan Cadre, and buy a ticket, a donation, and come and enjoy the day with us. The morning, it is from 11 a.m. on October the 12th to 1 p.m. Get to know some of the Golden Swan Cadre. Come out and meet us, and let's learn together.
Yes. Excellent. Education is the key. And that's one
Mhm.
of our initiatives, to educate the masses.
Right.
So I'm so glad that we had this conversation, the review of the movie, the learning each other by objects. That was fun. And we
Mhm.
all have different points of view, which we had with the movie, although we agreed on a lot of the points.
Right.
So opinions are respected here. This is a safe, bully-free zone because we don't like violence. We advocate against it. So you can hear our show again on Village Global Network on Mondays every other week at 10 a.m., powered by Zeno FM, with additional monitoring through online radio box on the following stations: Culture Shock Radio, Radio Forcio, Rockbox FM, and Wapter Music. You can also view our show on YouTube on Saturdays. And our exciting news, let me reiterate, will soon be on VGN TV. The stations to look for are Woman to Woman Network, Louis Wood, Roku TV, Fire TV, Comcast, DuPont Network, Xfinity, LG Smart TV, Samsung Smart TV, and Spectrum. We'll be giving you details as soon as we can. So look for us on those networks. And the final thing is, for Golden Swan Cadre to donate. These are the ways to donate. Donate to Golden Swan Cadre using Chime is $ Golden Swan Cadre, PayPal at thegoldenswancadre.com, on Instagram, Golden Swan Cadre, Facebook, Golden Swan Cadre, and on the website, www.goldenswancadre.com. Also, North Texas Giving Day. You can find us on those websites to donate, and we appreciate it from $1 on up. Every dollar helps us grow, so we appreciate everything you give us. Golden Bronze.
Yay, Mickey G, thank you for joining me today. As always, I can always count on you. We have so much fun doing this. It's a pleasure to share the stage with you. I thank you for everything that you do. for Gab with Golden Bronze and for Golden Swan Cadre. And I want to thank you, audience, for taking 45 minutes out of your day to come and watch Gab with Golden Bronze. And we will see you back here in 2 weeks. All righty. Thank you.